everybody, we're so excited to learn about scanning of the scanner. You're behind the scenes with us here as we wait for Dr. Art, our star, to join us. Art, I appreciate you joining us on Nachos See on TV. Everyone is waiting to hear about updates in digital technology. Truly appreciate InstaRisa being a supporting sponsor. Love meeting you at the DDS marketing event. I don't know if you know that Artie and Pay Ray were just in Philly last week, so it's kind of like a little reunion. We went out to Alvez, got some nachos. It was a great time.
Hey, well, you know what? I think the fact that I'm Mexican, I had to be on this show, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You got to come up and get our guac. You have to say, every people is coming, even Dr. Mark Costas himself. They always suspect that Alvez guac and they come and say it's great. So you got to come to Philly next. So as you get settled, I love bringing things to life like this for our Dental Nachos community. Some people are watching in live. Some people will be watching on demand later. We're going to talk about level up your practice with digital technology. I'm going to turn this presentation over to you in just a minute. But just before we get started, tell us a little bit about what InstaRisa does on a daily basis. Just people have some context that my team watching in. I love the name of your company. Tell us about it.
Thank you. Yeah, so InstaRisa, we strongly feel we're on the forefront of digital workflow technology. So we provide training, actual technology, and support and implementation. So the idea is how can we make life easier utilizing digital technology? And we've been doing this for going on 6 years now. And so we feel like we have a unique way of doing digital dentistry that can really relieve the stress that I had to unfortunately burden to try to figure it out. So yeah, so our goal is to help grow practices at the end of the day, grow practices and make the team happier, make the patients happier, and just have a good time doing dentistry.
And I would say make dentistry more fun for the patients. Would you say, when did you graduate? Same year as me, 2002?
Yeah, 2002.
So
I have a little bit more gray than you though.
yeah, I don't know. I have some here myself, but Art, it was very irresponsible. I was speaking with my residents the other night at the GPR, and I said it was so irresponsible of me. I didn't use a CBCT once when I placed implants back then because it wasn't invented, right?
That's
So
right.
we have been through inventions. I want to ask you, and you're welcome. I want to tell people that they can text digital to 215-543-6454 to get a recording of this presentation. I will stop my share. You can share whenever you are ready, Art. But as you're getting ready to share, tell me what you can't live without, okay? As you're getting this. So I will role model this. I wake up every day. I have a cell phone. I have a charger for my cell phone. I got a Zoom. I got a laptop. I got AirPods. I don't think I could live without my AirPods, honestly. I don't think I could do my life, whether it's working out, whether it's talking to people with AirPods. Let's say someone's just getting into digital technology. What's something you use every day? You're like, man, this is what you should do first, whether it's a scanner for crowns, whether it's for
Yeah.
implants. What's one of your can't live without?
There's three things in my practice. Obviously, you just mentioned one of them, the CBCT, because I have an implant-based practice, the intraoral scanner, and the third, which is quite revolutionary, is the facial scanner. If you take any one of those three pieces of technology away from me, it's going to be hard for me to work. It really is. So, because a lot of that technology is about intake records, not necessarily manufacturing. So if you're not ready to get into manufacturing, it's okay. You can hold off on getting the 3D printer and all, the design stuff, but acquiring records is something that we've done in dentistry from day one, you know?
Yeah,
So
I like that. And I was talking to residents about Dr. John Coyce, and I remember in 2004, I was listening to him and he said these orthodontic surgeons, they break jaws
yeah.
and they float it free, and one holds it and the other one stands back and says, does it look good? Let's screw it in. And I think that's kind of a perfect jumping off point because now we can do cool things with the face thanks to InstaRisa. I'm going to drop back. I'm going to let you present. We have an awesome audience here. I have one of my dental school classmates I see in the audience here from Colorado. We just helped him hire an associate dentist. He could say something nice about that in the chat. I won't violate Zoom HIPAA, but he can share. And also, I'd love if everyone shared where they're watching in from as well. And I'm going to drop back, Art, let you kind of take over, and then I'll be back at the end to chat with you.
All right, Dr. Nacho, thank you very
Thanks.
much. And I appreciate everybody joining me here on a Thursday afternoon or Thursday morning if you're on the Pacific Coast. And so my goal for today is to just share my journey when it comes to building a digital practice, an implant-based practice, And for all those out there that don't have any sense of where to begin, I'm hoping that after this webinar, or if you're in the middle of it, I'm hoping after this webinar, you can take away some pearls that have been really, really helpful to me. So that's the goal, is to share some pearls that have really helped me have, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm truly blessed to be able to have the type of practice that I am. So, all right, let's get started here. Just to give you guys a little bit of background on myself, my name is Dr. Art Mirelez. I'm a passionate Christian father first, husband, and I have 4 daughters, as you can see there. It's been a fun ride. Never thought I'd have 4 daughters, but I think every man typically wants kids, and then they typically want a boy so that they can play sports. But fortunately, I've been fortunate to marry a very athletic woman, and so we have some very athletic children that are now into college and high school and having a good time. So, from California, I went to dental school at UC San Francisco. I graduated in 2002. I started my practice in 2003. I shouldn't say I started. I bought a 20-year-old practice, and it was an insurance-based practice that had every types of insurance under the roof, including one HMO. And I slowly started just cutting away a lot of those insurances to now we are a fee-for-service practice. So it does take some time, but it was well worth it. Immediately, I got into implant dentistry, and actually just a really cool short story. The reason I'm a dentist is because when I was in high school, I got my front tooth knocked out in the middle of a fight. And so, needless to say, it wasn't the best decision I was making at the time. But, it's interesting how God works. It all came full circle, and here I am talking to you as a result of getting my tooth punched out of my face. And so that inspired me to be a dentist because my dentist fixed me up. Went to dental school, and in dental school, I volunteered to be a guinea pig for something called a dental implant. So here I am with my front tooth 24 years later with a dental implant. I went through the entire procedure with a mirror in my hand, and I just really got inspired to just be an implant dentist. So here I am. And so since then, I've been educating countless hours. I think that's the key. One of the keys I'm going to share is really educate yourselves. And I went on to the Coy Center, and I'm a clinical instructor there. I went to the Mish Institute from Carl Mish, the godfather of implant dentistry, and learned a ton. And so that's a little bit about myself. This is something that John Coyce has taught me, that if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. And I'll tell you, fortunately, I met John Coyce only 2 years out of dental school, and this really hit home. And so since then, although we all run into pitfalls, we all have a lot of stress in our life. But what if I told you that sharing my journey with you is going to allow you to reduce that stress, save some money along the way? And the key thing is really having systems in your practice, right? If we have systems in our practice, then no matter who we plug in, whether it's a new employee, a new associate doctor, a new lab technicians, those systems really hold true. And the key with me is I've always been one of these types of people that just wants to make things more efficient, make things better, of higher quality, but also maintain a high level of production. And so what I'm going to share with you today is what we've been able to do in my practice and how InstaRisa came about as a result. So let's get started. I think when we get started in dentistry, a lot of us probably get into dentistry because we want to be the boss, right? We want to be the boss. And what I've learned is being the boss isn't a good thing. And there's a difference between being a boss and being a leader. And I had to learn the hard way. I made some big mistakes early in my career. I've been practicing dentistry now for 22 years. And I was a boss, in the first couple of years. And I lost some really good employees. I lost some potentially great patients. I was just not doing things the right way. And through educating myself, through mentors and books and courses, I started to realize that there's a big difference between being a boss and a leader. A leader is somebody that is going to uplift everybody, is going to empower people to shine. And whereas a boss is a dictator and expecting people to do things without having the proper training, proper, systems in place. So I'll tell you, the key thing for me in terms of what was really pivotal in my career and changing my mindset was this, is core values. I took some time to really understand what core values meant. And then I came up with a set of core values that I've used for the last 20 years. And these core values really help guide me in making decisions. If I'm at a position where I have to make a decision, I have to lean on something. And for me, it's faith. My faith is in our Father and Jesus Christ. And I'll tell you that one thing I've learned is that having respect, being honest, and with one another is essential. And patients really see through you lots of times, and your team gets to see through you. I'll tell you, the people that know you the best are probably not even your wife or your kids. It's probably your team. Because we really show our true colors when we are in our practice. I mean, we're there 8, 10, 14 hours a day, right? So ask them what type of person they think you are. And so with these core values, the fourth one is excellence. I got that from John Coyce. He constantly says that we need to pursue perfection in order to achieve excellence and not cut any corners. And the toughest one for me, I'll be honest, is balance, because I'm so passionate about dentistry. I love dentistry, and balancing my family, balancing my practice, balancing my faith has always been a challenge. But I'll tell you what the reason that core values is important is these core values are shared with every single employee that I hire. And I ask them to understand what the meaning of each of them are. But more importantly, I ask them to hold me accountable to those core values. Because I think so many times we just say, hey, again, we're a boss, right? I need you to do this. But when you're a leader, you say, hey, listen, like, there's going to be times where I'm not respectful to you. Please call me out on it, right? There's going to be a time where I'm here 16 hours a day and I'm asking you to help me provide balance. So call me out on it. So what happens is when you develop this relationship with your team, they really come to have a better, deeper relationship with you. And that shines through when they're talking to patients. So, all right, team culture. This is huge. My good friend, Ben Merlo, introduced me to this quote, and I love it. It says, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Lots of times we're so focused on marketing. We're focused on, hiring the wrong people sometimes and expecting better. But if you focus on the people that you do have and create a culture, you'll find that everything else falls in place, because now you have leaders within your practice because you've built these leaders. So I love this quote, and this is my team. I would not be anywhere without them. They've all helped me grow. They've all helped me grow my practice. They've all helped me grow InstaRisa. So I'll share more about that here in a second. All right. So I'm sharing the playbook, right? So we all need a playbook, and I'm trying to just kind of cut to the key things that I have found to help me make my practice successful. And one is empowering the team. I love this quote, none of us are smarter than all of us. I think if we really, truly embrace that meaning, it'll help manifest a team that truly feels empowered. I lean on my friends, I lean on mentors, I lean on my team to help guide me in making decisions. And when you make these decisions together, you'll find that people start to share. And for example, even in that photo on the right, this was a surgical case that we did together. I am not comfortable in the operatory without my team in there. I feel naked, to be honest with you. I'm not myself. So, but all these people really make things come together. And so I'm grateful for that. All right, what's the next key? Give more and you get win-win. I'll tell you, John Coyce and Fernando Palenko have had a true impact on my life. Albert Einstein said, try not to become a man of success, but rather try to be a man of value, and really just kind of giving all that you can give. And it's amazing how things just come back and tenfold in return. So practice builders. This was huge in building my practice. So this is my dream practice. I'm not sharing this to brag. I'm sharing this because it was a long journey. I did not jump into this practice immediately. I mean, I moved into this practice 18 years after starting dentistry. That's how long the dream took. So, but it was one of those things where I really just focused on visualizing and planning strategically on what I wanted this practice to look like. And so finally, it came about 4 years ago. And I transitioned because I realized that implant dentistry is really what I wanted to do more of. And I always encourage young dentists or even dentists that have been practicing for a while is kind of decide what you want to do. What do you enjoy doing on a daily basis? What really has an impact on you, has an impact on your family, has an impact on your team, and whatever type of dentistry that is, whether it's dentures or ortho or root canals, whatever it may be, just really, I encourage you to kind of move in that direction. And so, as I mentioned with my story with implant dentistry, getting, popped in the face, I was inspired to do implant dentistry, and I just visualized what my practice would be like one day. And slowly but surely, it happened. So, I take a picture of this because you'll be surprised what patients focus in on. The cleanliness is important. Now, I don't know about you, but when I go to a restaurant, I always like to go to the bathroom, not to go to the bathroom, but just to see how clean it is. And I'll tell you, a lot of people I think that I've talked to share that same idea and that concept. So it's got to look clean, it's got to be immaculate, and you really build a culture for the people to understand that this is their home away from home. So to treasure it. These two rooms here is what I call my ABC suites. What does that mean? Always be closing suites. That's right. The one on the left is a photo of my digital imaging studio. Every single new patient that comes to my practice sits in that chair and they get a series of photos. They get an intraoral scan and they get a 3D facial scan. And while we're doing that, the images are popped up on the 50-inch monitors on 3 of the walls there. And the other thing that we'll do is we'll sit their significant other in a chair in that room. And for the first time, many times, their significant other gets to see some of the damage that's within these patients' mouths. And you would be surprised as to some of the comments that are made when they see this, because as you know, right, people that see things where most people are visual, it really gets them to move in the right direction. So this room has helped us close a lot of cases by just showing them what's going on. You don't even have to say a word. You just show them, right? And then you're showcasing the technology that you have in your practice that really separates your practice from everybody else's. So how many times have you been to a dentist or you've heard of a dentist that is scanning your face on the very first visit with a 3D facial scanner? Not very often, right? And so the idea is, what can I do to differentiate myself? The image on the right is a consultation room. We do all of our health plans. We refer to our treatment plans as health plans because we're moving the patient to better health. And these health plans are presented in the private room. And, it's always interesting the things that patients share. In the past, in my original practice, it was wide open and it was challenging for these patients to open up, but close the door and you'll be surprised. As my practice has grown, I started to realize that my dental lab bill was significant. And so I moved in the direction of having this in-house digital lab. And I'll tell you, the in-house digital lab is not for everybody. Not everybody here is going to want to do this, and I don't blame you. It took a lot of stress, a lot of money to put this together, but I would do it all over again. And the challenge that I had when I put this together 6 years ago is that there was really nobody out there that I can pick up the phone, or there wasn't any webinars that are sharing what to do and what not to do. And so we had to figure it out. Fernando and I had to really figure out what to do. But nonetheless, this is the new in-house digital lab. You'll notice that there's no models in this lab. It's I would say 99% of our cases are model free. Whether it's a denture, or a single crown, or a full mouth reconstruction, crown and bridge, or all on X restorations, is completely metal free. The other key thing is hire talent. I have some amazing technicians. And the beautiful thing is that these technicians are in-house lab technicians, which allows them to actually see the fruit of their labor. Think about that. How many of you have these amazing, immaculate cases and your lab technician never even hears about it, right? Well, what we do is that we round the patient up and we do a reveal. We actually bring the team together and we get to share that special moment that the patient sees their new smile for the very first time. And the lab technicians get to be part of that because after all, we're nothing without our team. especially our highly talented lab technicians. So I'm very grateful. So my in-house dental lab has all the bells and whistles and toys to really generate this type of dentistry. We have 3D printing, we have milling capabilities, we have CAD/CAM designing with exocad, and all of this is showcased in my practice. So when patients walk in, we give them a tour of my office and we show them why we're different. Why are we different than the practice next door? Right? It takes less than 3 minutes, 5 minutes max to really walk your patients around. And this is every single new patient, right? And so they are experiencing something completely different. And if we focus on the patient experience, it's going to change your practice. So I've invested in a lot of technology. We have a CBCT, as I mentioned. We have multiple trios scanners in my practice, intraoral scanners, and we have the facial scanner. And as you can see here there on the middle photo, our facial scanning technology, which I'm going to show you more of, is compatible with a lot of these intraoral scanning computers. So I just put it all in one cart and I roll it around from operatory to operatory. And it's very nice and mobile and agile. I've recently invested in Yomi, and I'm going to show you a Yomi case here. And really, the reason I did it was for two reasons. One is the precision it brings, and also the ability to allow me to scale with my practice. I have an associate that's out of dental school for about 4 years, and you'll be shocked at what some of the dentistry he's doing 4 years out of dental school. I'm a little jealous, to be honest with you, because he's so far ahead of the game. So technology really allows us to benefit not only the patients, not only the team, but also as a business owner. When you learn how to leverage the technology and you empower your team to utilize this technology, I'm not necessarily doing the scanning, right? I'm not necessarily always placing the implants. I have an associate doing that. My team does all the scanning. So really delegating a lot of this helps you be more productive in your practice. So leveraging the technology to do so has been instrumental in my practice. So when it comes to patient experiences, I will tell you this is key. If you can make or strive to make every single patient experience positive, your practice is going to blow everybody away. So for me, I will tell you the one thing that's instrumental is going digital. Going digital in my practice has allowed me to serve more patients in less time, be far more productive, have far more less redos, and reduce the stress in my practice. And so I'm going to show you how we leverage digital technology in my practice. And I'm going to start off with just describing what we call a digital workflow. So in the digital workflow, there's essentially 3 major steps, okay? The first step is what we call record acquisition. And that's essentially what we've done in dentistry since the beginning of time, right? We're taking impressions, we're filling out a lab slip, and we send that to the lab. So when it comes to digital dentistry, we're going to expand upon that. Yes, you could take impressions, and yes, I'm a digital dentist, and I still own alginate in my practice. I still own polyvinyl siloxane, but I use it less than 5% of the time. Really, I don't use it very often, but there's still cases where I will. And so nonetheless, impressions still work. And what you would do is if you took an impression, you would either pour up that model and then scan it. And you can scan it and then convert that to a digital model. The other thing you could do is actually just scan the impression directly if you didn't want to pour it up. So nonetheless, that's one of the records that's necessary. If you're doing implant surgery, as Dr. Nacho mentioned, then it is just standard of care to have a CBCT. So having a CBCT is essential, and having an intraoral scan is essential also. And again, when Dr. Nacho opened up, he asked me, what are the 3 pieces of equipment? They're right there, records acquisition, right? It's my CBCT unit, my intraoral scanner, and my 3D facial scanner. So why do I need these 3 things in my practice? Well, I'll tell you why. If you're able to complete these data set records in less than 30 minutes, right? Let's just say it's a full mouth reconstruction case. The most complex cases, which I'm going to show you, It takes about 30 minutes to acquire all these records. What you're able to do with a high quality facial scanner, high quality intraoral scanner, and high quality CBCT is you're able to align these data sets and create a virtual patient. So that leads us to step number 2, which is design. So now you have a patient right in front of you, and you can design the perfect smile, regardless of what type of restoration it is. Once you design it, then you can manufacture. That's step 3. And then at that point, you can either mill it or you can 3D print it. So here's the beauty of digital workflow. You don't have to have all of this stuff, right? The only thing I would encourage doctors to, if they're going to get started, is buy everything that's in step 1, right? Which is the CBCT, the intraoral scanner, and the facial scanner. And you can outsource everything else. You can outsource the design. You can outsource the manufacturing, right? And then when you start to get comfortable, when you start growing, maybe that's when you start investing in what I always suggest is I say skip steps 2, go straight to step 3, and invest in a 3D printer. Why do I say skip step 2? Because design is probably the steepest learning curve. And the time and energy and stress that it takes to learn how to design is not for every dentist. Now, if you're that type of dentist that loves to design because you have CEREC or you're a gamer or you love that stuff and it's a hobby in a sense, I encourage it, do it. But most dentists, they are not really motivated to take all the time and energy. And what I don't want you to do is jump into it, head first and realize, man, I shouldn't have done this. So I suggest if you're going to grow your practice and go digital, skip step 2, outsource step 2, and then what you would do is, get the design back, and then you can 3D print it in your practice. Okay. So in my practice, I don't know if this video is going to show very well on Zoom, but nonetheless, as I mentioned, every single patient steps into my digital imaging studio, and these new patients get a 20-second facial scan. It literally takes 20 seconds to scan a patient's face. And the amount of data that you get from a 20-second scan is unbelievable. But more importantly, it's the wow factor. This patient is sitting here as they're getting scanned, right? They get to see and feel and touch this technology that they have never been privy to before. So I have found that utilizing this just as a standard intake record has really boosted my close rate significantly. And the amount of information I gather from it is absolutely amazing. So what's nice is that, it's just on a cart, and you scan the patient's face. Then we scan the patient's teeth, and we show them, what's possible. So many of you may say, like, why do you need a facial scanner? I've been doing dentistry for so long. Why do I need it? Well, I'll tell you why. If you're going to be doing digital dentistry or even analog dentistry for that matter, and you get this is a full mouth reconstruction all on X case, one of the most challenging cases in dentistry. But let's say that you are not using a facial scanner and you get this design back to review. How in the world do you know what this is going to look like in the face? It's a gorgeous design. Everything looks great. But there's no way that you can even imagine what it's going to look like in the patient's face until when? Until you actually schedule an appointment, set up an operatory, greet the patient, lie them back, put it in their mouth, you sit them up, and it's off. You've invested so much time and energy already just to discover that whatever types of restoration that you were putting in were not going to work, regardless of whether it was just a single tooth, a denture, or a full mouth reconstruction. So what if we had the missing link? And what is the missing link? The missing link is the face, okay? This is a game changer. Why is the missing link so important? And I'm going to share you, this is just a high-level view of the InstaRisa workflow. So I'm not here to teach you every nook and cranny about it, but I want you to understand the concept. And the concept is this: if we were able to scan the patient's face and we would scan the patient's teeth with an intraoral scanner, then we would be able to generate a beautiful smile that's in a true one-to-one relationship so that you can actually show this patient the results before you even get started. And the key to a workflow is how can I show a patient this and promise them, right? It's not a disclaimer like we get on 2D photo simulations, right? When we show before and after and there's a 2D simulation there. That's different. I can't guarantee a patient that's going to look that way. In fact, it says that there's a disclaimer at the bottom of that simulation saying I can't guarantee the results. But what if you could guarantee the patient, Lisette, do you like these teeth? Is there anything you'd like to change about this Lisette? And she says, you know what, doc, their teeth are too big. Okay, no problem. And we just change the design on the fly, show it to her. I want the teeth longer. Okay, we make them longer. So here's the beautiful thing. You notice that in the image that the face, we're scanning in multiple lip positions. So we can scan in a natural smile. We can scan in a Duchenne smile, which is an exaggerated smile. We can scan in repose. We can scan in multiple facial positions so that we can visualize what this restoration is going to look like. And although this case that I'm showing is an extreme case of a double arch all on X, what if this was just veneers from 7 to 10? What if it was just a denture? And then we can show the patient, and then through the InstaRisa workflow, show them how to manufacture and generate these results. I mean, that's a game changer. So imagine if this patient is in your practice and you show them this. What are the chances that somebody else down the street has this technology? And this is why I love digital dentistry. It's efficient. It is so predictable. It is so productive when it's done the right way. And what we've done at InstaRisa is be able to streamline this process from start to finish. That is Lisette. That's the scan, the video I just showed you on the left. This is 3 weeks post-op after a double arch case. Literally, from the picture on the left to the picture on the right is 2 appointments, right? This photo is 3 weeks later, but it's the same teeth that I gave her when we did the surgery. That is unbelievable in implant dentistry, or just, I mean, come on, crown and bridge dentistry. So I want to post this. I'm going to spend some time here. Please scan this code. You will not regret it. What this is what we call the InstaRisa tribe. What the InstaRisa tribe is about is sharing digital dentistry with like-minded dentists and like-minded lab technicians so that together we can grow. Because remember I said none of us are smarter than all of us. And only through working together can we really uplift this profession. And that's one of my goals, is to really just help other people, just like I've helped my team members, so that we can continue to grow. Let me show you a case, all right? Because digital dentistry, some people think digital dentistry is not worthwhile, or it's too expensive, or the change is going to be challenging for the team. So I'm going to show you some cases here, and we're going to go from simple all the way to complex. And this is how I've been able to integrate digital dentistry in my practice. So this is a simple case, right? For the most part, when it comes to when it comes to implant dentistry. So this case, believe it or not, was done by my associate. I'm so proud of him. Dr. Gill has come a long way. So this patient walks in and tells us that he fell and his front tooth is loose. And so what we're able to do is utilize digital technology for single tooth dentistry. And so what we did is we were able to take this tooth out, place the implant, and because it was an emergency and the tooth that he originally came in with was fractured off the gum line, my associate decided just to bond it temporarily until the implant healed. But let me show you how we leverage digital dentistry for this case. So here's a facial scan of the patient. So patient presents on the left, and we scan the patient. I just showed 2 examples here. We scan the patient in a natural smile and a Duchenne exaggerated smile. And so once we the patient, right, at this point the implant has healed, we are now going to make a single unit restoration. How many times have you tried delivering just a single unit, or for that matter, 2 units, and it looks great on the model, but you put it in the mouth and it's slightly off. One is longer than the other, one is shorter than the other. And you look at the model and you're like, man, it looked good on the model. Well, that's the point, right? Your lab technician didn't have the face. If the lab technician had the face, then you can really zoom in and you can look at the details. And what implant dentistry does when you have the face is you can now make sure that it's in the right position in every viewable possibility that's available. You can turn the patient inside out, right? You can look them from the side, the profile. Is it too thick? Is it too thin? And this is just for one single tooth. And with the technology, what my lab technician did is just duplicated. They literally just copied tooth number 8, inverted it, and designed a crown for tooth number 9. And then we wanted to make sure it was in the right position. So, and guess what? My associate did this case. My clinical partners, which I don't call them dental assistants, by the way, in my practice, I call them clinical partners. My clinical partner scanned the patient, and my lab technician is making the restoration. And so when it comes time to seat, all we're going to do is the doctor just needs to seat it, because at this point, everything has been checked and double checked. And if the patient wants to actively get involved in this case, they can. All right. So that's the beauty of having 3D facial scanning technology, even just for a single tooth. All right. So how about for dentures? If this patient walks into your practice tomorrow, how many appointments is it going to take for you to pull off a denture? Because in my practice, I have a practice that serves all patients. Yes, we focus on implant dentistry, but this patient unfortunately wasn't in a position financially to do implants. Or sometimes patients just don't want implants, right? There's a possibility this patient said, hey, I've had these dentures for 30 years. I'm happy with them. I don't need, but can you help me maybe get some bottom teeth? Nonetheless, right, this patient walks in and she wants a new denture and she wants some teeth on the bottom. And after all the options were discussed, we landed on doing a new upper denture and a new lower interim partial on the bottom arch. And so we were able to do this case in literally 2 appointments. So she walks in, we scan her face, we scan the denture, right? And we have a set protocol for what we call dentures in little as 2 appointments. And the only thing that the doctor does at this point is gets a reline of the denture, right? A light body wash of the denture, and gets a bite record that same day on day 1. And then we virtually designed this. And literally on the second appointment, we are delivering facially generated designed milled dentures. So you can see there on the upper, we've got a complete denture. For this particular case, it's a monolithic denture that has some stained composite, or I should say stacked composite for the pink. On the lower, it's an interim partial that was milled, and we just added some wrought wire clasp there. And so here's day 2 when she comes in, or appointment number 2, I should say. That's the restoration. And so one of the things you'll notice, though, is that lots of people will just show this image, right? And they'll go on to the next case. And they don't show you the entire face, or maybe they'll show you this, right? They'll say, hey, this is the before and after. What do you think? It looks amazing. But the truth of the matter is none of this really matters, because the photo could be cropped, the photo could be rotated, and it's not until you actually see the face where you can really tell if this denture was made to your liking or the patient's liking. So I started this hashtag and I call it hashtag show me the face. And why do I say show me the face? I say show me the face because many times, and keep an eye out for it, on social media or even some of these prominent journals, they won't show the before and after full face photo. And lots of times it's because the midline is off or the upper arch is canted something is off and it doesn't look right. And the only way you could confirm that that restoration was done to the specs that most patients expect from us is if you show me the face. So we tell our InstaRisa doctors, please, when you're doing these cases, show before and after with the face. Okay, so how about the aesthetic dentist, right? Because in my practice, again, I mentioned I do every types of case that walks through my practice. This particular patient came into the practice, and she is a very, very demanding patient from an aesthetic point of view. Very, very nice lady, but just from her aesthetic point of view, she wanted something that looked extraordinarily much better than what she did. And I kind of missed the boat on this case. The initial exam, I had just proposed, some minor ortho alignment and some bleaching. And then she called back and said, no, I want my entire mouth done. I want, veneers. I want my entire mouth veneered. So nonetheless, we were able to utilize the 3D facial scanning technology to generate this case. So I want to take you through this case here. And so what we do is our facial scanner is also a bite scanner. So what do I mean by that? The field of view is very, very large. So when I scan the bite with retractors in the mouth, I can now scan the upper arch and the lower arch simultaneously, regardless of whether the patient is in missing teeth or not. But the idea is that I'm able to capture enough data in one shot because the field of view is about 10 times bigger than an intraoral scanner, whereas the intraoral scanner will not be able to capture a bite, especially if there's missing teeth in the back. And so that's why sometimes when we get our restorations back from our laboratory, the bite's off. If you're scanning with an intraoral scanner and there's multiple teeth missing in a posterior arch, chances are that algorithms within these intraoral scanning systems is going to just generate a bite, but it's not the true bite. So nonetheless, our facial scanner scans the bite. We scan the teeth. And after listening to all her specific concerns, at the end of the day, she wanted longer teeth and she wanted a very specific shape of tooth. And so what we do is we generate this 3D generated smile design. And because she was so particular, I had her actually sit down and meet with my designer. So my designer met with her before we even prepped a tooth. And she sat there and designed and made the changes that she wanted. So what do you think the chances are that the teeth that we give her, that she's going to be happy with? It's pretty high, right? Because she had hands-on experience with this. So talk about, a different patient experience, being able to generate a smile, because now she's not just looking at teeth, she's actually designing her smile with her face. These images come in true color. Designers, you'll find that they don't like to design in true color. So, but when you utilize the facial scanner, it's a true image of the patient's skin. And so then the design will be obviously with white teeth, and so you get to see them. So once, our patient accepts the design, then we bring her in to prepare the teeth. And you can still utilize techniques such as this, where you're going to print out a prep guide, essentially. You can use this prep guide to generate your acrylic overlays. You can use this prep guide to generate a suck down to know how much tooth reduction to prep. Whatever you want to do, you're able to utilize this 3D printed technology to help facilitate the case. So what we did is I prepped the entire upper arch in one appointment, and 8 weeks later, we delivered the upper arch. And then this is a video. I'm not sure if you can hear this or not, but we are delivering the upper teeth at this appointment. And I prepped the lower arch at this same appointment. So the lower arch is prepped. We also did the implants on that initial visit to really maximize our time. And all this was done under sedation. So sedation is another thing. Maximize your time and be more proficient. There's the lower arch teeth that were prepped. And what we do in my practice is we 3D print all of the restorations. So every restoration in my practice, that's an interim restoration. We're 3D printing them. So as you can see here, the posterior teeth were prepped. That is the bite. You can see the dots on the temporary restorations. Literally, it's less than 5 minutes of adjusting. And we open the vertical on this bite, by the way. And so we're able to prepare an entire arch utilizing the InstaRisa workflow when it comes to crown and bridge. And we're able to deliver restorations like this. I want to give special thanks to my in-house lab, Divine Dental Lab, and also Rutherford Dental Lab for manufacturing these beautiful restorations. The posterior implants are still healing, but as you can see, we got through this case even before the implants were able to heal. And so the bite is right, the aesthetics are right, and she's happy, you know. So here's our final restorations, before and after. And there's no bigger joy than just pulling off a case like this in minimal visits, absolutely minimal visits, to be able to pull off a case like this when you're utilizing, you know, digital technology. So again, we want to see the face, make sure that this looks right. And so obviously she was happy. So how about more complex cases? How about doing digital dentistry for some of these more advanced cases that involve a lot of time and a lot of energy? So specifically, like all-on-X cases. So John Coyce, you know, I love this guy. He's truly been single-handedly the biggest influence on my dental career. And so as a result, he shared this: when you know better but do not do better, you feel worse about yourself. And I'll tell you, when I first started doing full arch dentistry, this was me. I didn't feel good about what I was selling. I didn't feel good about what I was doing. I didn't feel good about the results I was given to patients. And the reason was this was many years before digital dentistry. And this is why it wasn't fun, right? And this is still ways that people are teaching to do full arch restorations. I got this from a lab website. And these are the steps. I mean, these are the steps that are necessary to pull off a case like this. I mean, you're talking 10, 15, 20. You know, a friend of mine said it took 30 appointments, because he's being honest, to pull off these cases. So with the InstaRisa workflow, what if we were able to do this in as little as 4 appointments, because we're able to avoid verification jigs, we're able to avoid analog conversions, we're not taking bite registrations on the day of surgery, we are not taking impressions on the day of surgery, we're scanning everything. We don't have those extra appointments for a wax try-in or a bar try-in, right? Believe it or not, I have not used a Facebook in my practice for 4 years now, right? The first 2 years of developing InstaRisa, we were doing hybrid models because I had to be convinced. But in the last 4 years, I'm not using Facebos. And my midlines are not off anymore because I'm using 3D facial scanning technology. I'm not looking like a dental snowman at the end of delivering these restorations from grinding in the occlusion. And the best thing is that I am no longer having as many of these non-productive appointments, because as you know, with these full arch cases, every time you do a try-in, that's a 0 production appointment. And I don't know about you, but on my day sheet, I put a big fat 0. And those, after time and time coming back, they are so damaging to your practice. So what if we can get rid of this? So let me show you a case. This is a case of the upper arch. This patient hated her upper partial. She was embarrassed. She was ashamed. And I'll tell you, when you're doing these full arch restoration, I don't think there's any bigger joy in medicine, I'll put it at that point, not just dentistry, of doing full arch dentistry. Why is that? Think about this. What other thing in medicine or dentistry do you have to pull off a case within 24 hours? It has to look natural. It has to feel natural. And it has to function naturally. There's nothing in medicine. But I'll tell you, in dentistry, doing full arch dentistry is just so gratifying for everybody involved. And so here's a case where she hated her denture, and we were going to give her an upper all-on-X restoration. So it's the standard protocol. We scan the face, we scan the teeth with the intraoral scanner. We follow the InstaRisa workflow. We open the bite on this particular case. We align the CBCT. So if you're interested in using guides, you can get a 3D generated guide for the implant placement that's based off of the final restoration design. So now you know exactly and precisely where to place the implant. If you're a free-handed dentist, then you can get a free-handed template to show you where the implant should go based off of the final 3D facially generated design. So nonetheless, again, you can show the patient what this restoration is going to look like and let her have hands-on experience with tweaking it to the manner that she likes. And so once you get approval from these patients, then it's time to move forward and go to surgery. So that's appointment number one, where the restoration is designed and the patient approves it. And then we go to appointment number two, which is essentially the surgery. And this is 24 hours post-op. The implants are placed. In my practice, I choose to deliver the restoration the next day. I have a whole webinar on why I deliver next day, but nonetheless, we choose to deliver the next day. And this is 24 hours later. You know, we put the teeth in there and it's just completely life-changing. You know, talk about improving quality of life in just a matter of hours. I'm telling you, I love, I'm so passionate about full arch dentistry, and you can see why. With the InstaRisa workflow, we're able to go to final restoration. Literally, after 4 months of healing, the implants are scanned. We get our standard records again, and we're able to generate a monolithic restoration out of zirconia. You can use any type of restoration material that you choose. This particular case is a monolithic zirconia restoration, and it's done modelless, absolutely no models, you know, and that's what's unique about the InstaRisa workflow when it comes to these facially generated designs, is that we're able to utilize, you know, the technology and the precision that we give to pull off these cases. And this particular case has tie bases. We utilize an intraoral scanner to capture implant position, and we can deliver passive fitting restorations. I've been utilizing intraoral scanner to deliver passive fitting restorations for 6 years now. That's one of the unique things about InstaRisa. I have nothing against photogrammetry. In fact, we have a lot of InstaRisa doctors that have photogrammetry. But for those that are looking to get into full arch dentistry and trying to save some money, then utilizing our proprietary scan bodies and our technique, utilizing an intraoral scanner is a great option. So here she is. This is the after. And again, show me the face, right? Show me the face. And she's another happy patient. So, you know, the key thing is, you know, what I have found in my practice is how to generate raving fans, right? If I can generate raving fans, then I can grow a practice. And I will tell you the amount of referrals that I've generated from existing patients has been extraordinary. But here's the other thing. I think sometimes we forget. Raving fans in our practice are not just our patients. Raving fans in your practice are your team members. Your team members are the best raving fans. Why is that? If your team member is doing a consultation with a patient and they truly believe that what we are selling them is something that we can pull off predictably, and we can pull it off with minimal discomfort, and we can be very efficient about it, and they can tell stories, story after story after story of how these patients' lives have been changed. Those are your best raving fans, right? The raving fans are your team members. And that's why like team culture for me and my practice is so huge. I invested a lot of time and effort in just trying to build better people. You know, I learned that if you focus on trying to build better employees, it's not as beneficial as if you try to just build better people. And so when we have our meetings, we have what we call fine-tune meetings. And these fine-tune meetings, they take place once a month where we shut down the practice. And the focus is, what can I do to help them develop and share some life skills from my mistakes and that I've learned so that they can go home and share those with their families. And as a result, it's been pretty rewarding. to be able to see the changes in the team members that we have in my practice to create this amazing practice that I'm just absolutely blessed to have every moment in the practice. Listen, we all have bad days, no doubt about it. But I'll tell you that the bad days these days is far less than back in the day prior to doing digital dentistry. So thank you for your time. I want to share this. InstaRisa, what we do is we provide courses, we provide technology, we provide training. I want to encourage you guys to, scan that QR code. Dr. Nacho, he convinced me to make this special offer here. It's very unheard of, but it's the code is Nachos 50, and that's 50% off of any course that's offered on our website at InstaRisa.com. Our next course is September 20th and 21st. We have another one in November. There's other courses that we offer, such as ExoCAD, team building. I mean, the list goes on. So check us out at InstaRisa.com. And I just want to thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for just allowing me to share my experience. And hopefully there's some pearls that you got from this. Thank you.
That was awesome. Leave this up for the QR code. Some people are slow like me with QR codes. Life is a QR code. There's a QR code inside of all QR codes. That's my next book. That was really, truly amazing. I loved how you blended mindset, family, being vulnerable, making dentistry more fun, talking about one of my favorite people, John Coyce. I don't know him as well as you do, but I've learned so much from him. Maybe this is something you know when working with him, but I know that when I heard him lecture in 2004, 5, 6, he would make his team read the book Raving Fans before they got to work with him. And that book is magnificent. It's dated in the examples they give, because I remember one of the examples is a supermarket that doesn't develop film. It talks about, but it's a truly awesome book. Some of the things that our brand is on brand. I remember that they had a taxi driver who said, I will talk to you about anything about politics, to try not to make sure you didn't bring up any spicy topics with your customers. So some of that is great. Well, truly awesome with what you guys are doing. We're sharing you through our entire community. I admire all the hard work you do to bring this to dentists, because it's not easy, but it's worth it, I think is a good way to put it. Yeah. Our own practice is, on the journey, right? Digital dentistry is a journey. Don't feel bad if you're not doing it all. Just do one thing. All right. We're going to make this recording available to anyone who's watching in now or later. My team will share, but if you text the word digital to 215-543-6454, you'll be able to get a copy of this recording. And I just want to say we're guac grateful for you sharing with us, Art.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Nacho. I appreciate it. And, the community that you have is pretty extraordinary. And, we're happy to be a part of it. So anything that we can do to help, people with this digital journey, please just reach out. And I'll tell you that WhatsApp group is fantastic. But
I love it. You've inspired me. But my team and I are making one for our Dental Nachos Supreme. I really love that WhatsApp group. It cuts through the noise on your phone. Yeah. I didn't offer much of digital dentistry, but I did make a funny meme that I put in there,
I saw that
the other night. Yeah, which is good. Someone did ask, what type of investment should people be thinking about if they're going to add a facial scanner to their office cost-wise?
Yeah, it's about $15,000 to $16,000 for the actual facial scanner. And then, like I mentioned, you can just utilize the laptop that you're using for your intraoral scanner.
Awesome, Art. Well, I'll let you get to your next thing. We're going to circle back with my team. We're going to get the recording out to people, share how people can help you. Thank you for this generous discount code, and I hope we get the high five and have nachos in person soon.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot, Dr. Nacho. You take care.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
God bless.